Okay, Craighead Bridge, you're aware we're in the midst of replacing that. We've received a letter that I forwarded on to the board from Working Bridges, which is a group from actually Michigan, and they're under the umbrella of the North Skunk River Greenbelt Association. I'm not sure how this all works. But this one nonprofit, the Skunk River nonprofit's the umbrella. Working Bridges is a organization underneath that is really a nonprofit looking to preserve steel truss bridges. They heard about Craighead Bridge. They had done some work with PennDOT earlier this year, back in 2014, to talk about Craighead Bridge, look at some different options of selling it. They've sent us a letter expressing their interest to take ownership of the bridge. I believe their intent would be to disassemble, probably take it to Michigan or Iowa, keep it in storage, evaluate its condition, and then look for another use somewhere. FHWA has indicated to us that they would be willing to cover up to $120,000 of cost for disassembly. So that would be in addition to our contract. So
how much again?
$120,000. So this doesn't cost us anything. That was something I was pretty clear with them that this isn't something we want to spend a lot of money on when we go through this. They came back to us, Working Bridges. We had a March 1st deadline with our contractor. So they came back March 3rd, so it's in the mix. I wanted to bring it to the board, see if there's still an interest in working with these folks. If there is, I would suggest that we respond back to PennDOT, FHWA, PHMC, and Working Bridges that within a 2-week time frame, we would need a full scope of work of the work that needs to be provided, and insight and guidance from mainly FHWA and PennDOT on how our existing construction contract would be modified to accommodate this request. Because I think the last thing...
Is this going to lead to any delay in the construction of the new bridge?
It should not. I met with Kinsley.
This is off, this is
right
away from where the new bridge is going to be constructed.
Correct. It's just slightly downstream. I met with Kinsley this morning on a part of our normal project coordination. They had indicated that they do need to know because it impacts the equipment they're bringing on site, the workers they have lined up. And it might be work that they do or could be added to their contract, or it might be work that would be under a separate contract done on a later date after the project's over. So that's the guidance we have to get from those other folks. But I think we want to be very clear with everybody. We can't let this drag us out, drag our schedule out, cost us more money. We've been working on this issue for over 3 years, and if we have this agreement, it's great. I think it'll work nicely. But we really need some concurrence from the others and for them to tell us exactly what we need to do to accommodate the request.
Is there any interest on the part of South Middleton Township in retaining the descendant bridge for their own purposes?
Yeah, I notified Corey Adams of the meeting today and asked if he wanted to come. He's more than welcome. We've been back and forth on disassembly and storage with them. I don't believe they're interested in that either because there's still the reassembly costs and fixing the bridge up as well. We also had some interest from some other folks in the last couple of weeks that hasn't panned out. So I think the one issue we would want to make sure we resolve as we go this route, the township has expressed an interest in the plaques that are on the bridge. We have put that in the contract now that they would receive at least one of those. I think we want to keep that in there so that they can retain that if they'd like.
Okay. So essentially, this Working Bridges group would essentially take ownership of the bridge and responsibility for transporting it and all that.
Yeah. And then they would look for, using it somewhere else. They have history doing this in some other areas. I notified Keith Brown. He's looking through the county code of how we have to execute this.
Yeah.
PennDOT Chief Counsel is also looking at it. Working with Keith, it's his understanding that we might have to go through a process to publicly advertise and bid the project, which obviously that'll take a little extra time. But it's been done elsewhere in the state. Chief Counsel from PennDOT is supposed to be getting back with us with guidance on how we can do it potentially without having to do that bid process.
But the federal funding would just be disassembled,
Yes.
not the transport or any of that. Okay, so. Yeah, I don't have any problem in pursuing it as long as it doesn't hold up, like you said, and lead to additional costs for the replacement project, because this has been, kicked around even longer than, before Vince became commissioner, so.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been, what, 5 years?
Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah. first project field view on this replacement project was May of 2009. So the whole project's been 8 years.
What would happen to the current Crankhead Bridge without these people intervening? Would they sit there?
It'd be demolished. It's part of our project.
Just demolished? And these guys kind of want to preserve it and possibly use it someplace else?
Potentially, yeah. Or find another user somewhere.
So the only downside is if it causes complications or delays, or if it costs us anything, doesn't cost us anything. Or if the locals really felt the need to, retain it as a historical thing. But if all they're interested in is the plaques, that doesn't seem to be a big consideration.
And we've looked at a lot of different options, Cumberland Valley Rail Trail using it, leaving it in place. If we leave it in place, we could do that, but then we're
As long as to
responsible.
maintain it.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, they don't want to be in a bridge business any more than you have to be doing.
Right, and on the other side of the property, it's private property. It's just, if it were in a different location, I think it could be a good opportunity for preservation. Given its location, especially for us, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Tried to work with the township, I think, is not interested either, so this could be the option to preserve it in some fashion.
Yeah, I just don't want it to delay the project any longer because, we've been going back and forth with the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission and all kinds of everybody and their brother that wants us to save the bridge. And the fact of the matter is that we haven't had any takers. So now we have a taker, and that's fine, that's good. And if we have funding to, pay for disassembling it, that's fine. I just don't want to hold up this important bridge project any longer.
Right.
What about Keith's thing about possibly
He's still working on that. If the board concurs to, go ahead with this, I can work with Keith to have more thorough analysis on that and see what we have to do.
And this would seem to qualify as sole source. I mean, unless there's like people out there competing bridge buyers, but it sounds pretty obscure.
I think the way we want to couch this too, if we did put it out to bid, it would be for disassembly and relocation. So I think we would get bidders for scrap metal prices. I think we want to avoid that.
Yeah, but this is the whole preservation thing.
Right.
And it doesn't cost us anything.
So the board of commissioners will have to take some type of action that may or may not include sending it out to bid.
Correct. Yeah, based upon what Keith has.
Double check here.
Hello?
Hi, this is Gary. I'm waiting, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, Gary. We're talking about the Craighead
Yeah.
Bridge. No cost to the county.
Okay.
There is a possibility, Keith is checking on county code, it might need to be bid. We don't know for sure yet, but that's where what we were just talking about.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And Kirk's point, I think, is relevant. If it were to have to be put out for bid, it would not just be for demolition and car away, it would be for for
Disassembly and
disassembly
relocation.
and relocation.
Yeah, what happens if we go ahead with the disassembly or, we put it out the bid for, what happens if we have like a scrap metal operation that wants to bid on it, then what? I mean, where does that put us with the preservation aspect, and the requirement that we have with the preservation aspect?
Right, FHWA and PHMC will be taking a look with working bridges and figure out what the future use could be. And I believe they may establish a covenant that if it's disassembled and relocated, that it would be reassembled and relocated somewhere else. So I don't think we'd see a situation, Jim, where a scrapper could come in and say they're going to disassemble it, then potentially scrap it later on and not reassemble it. We lose our preservation benefit.
All right, so this could still get tricky. Again, my main concern is not to hold up the
Right.
construction of the replacement bridge any longer,
We can make that clear in our correspondence back to FHWA, PennDOT, PHMC, that we want to see this done, but we don't want to see extra costs, we don't want to see extra time.
Is the private property that the Craighead Bridge goes on to, is that the Maslin? The Maslin plantation?
It's further down the road, the Maslins are further down the road.
Okay, so right now, Kirk, we have an outfit that will take it.
Yeah.
This is someone that take it away.
Right.
At no cost to the county.
Yep.
The so-called problem could be that we might have to do some type of bidding, but we don't know yet.
That's correct.
All right, so that's where we're at. So we could maybe take action on this next week if we get all our answers in, or at least for discussion.
Right.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
I apologize if this was already covered, but Kurt, we had talked at one point about some possible local bidders. Has that run its course?
Yes, Gary, before you jumped on there, we did talk about some other parties that were interested, but they've since withdrawn their interest.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any more questions on Craighead Bridge?
So we want to put on the agenda for the next,
At least for discussion next workshop.
You got time enough, Kirk?
Oh, yeah.
Or you don't need any formal action from us today or anything?
No.
we should advise Keith to have his, whatever he needs to look into done and ready by that time.
Okay, we have another bridge to discuss.
Sure.
Bishop's Bridge.
Sure, Bishop Bridge, I think we had a meeting next week, but again, this one won't take long. If you recall, Vince, I think this was before your time, in 2014, we had a meeting with residents in Bishop Bridge down in Upper Allen Township and Montague Township. Bishop Bridge we had to close due to structural issues, created some strife with the residents down there because then there's only one other way out for several of our residents. And that way out also crosses the Yellow Breeches Creek. It's a new bridge that we put in 2003, but occasionally it floods. So we have to look long-term. We made repairs to the bridge, which we believe will last for about 10 years. But if the bridge has problems in the future and needs to be closed, there could be that situation where we have a heavy storm, high waters, the bridge that they rely on to cross the Yellow Breeches to get out could be flooded. And then we could have several of our residents that are really stranded and landlocked. Looking ahead with York County, we said at that public meeting, we look at some different options to address their concerns to make sure long-term they have access. So a new bridge in that location, $2 to $3 million, a lot of money. The ADT back there is very low, probably 100 vehicles per day. Very small number of folks using it. So one of the options we looked at was a potential emergency access road through Messiah College. We recently had a meeting with Messiah College to discuss that option. They had requested as part of that meeting for us to come back with them if we are interested with an agreement of how we might, Cumberland County and York County, share the cost of constructing an emergency access road across their property in return for Messiah College to maintain that access road on our behalf. So the idea would be, again, if you have that situation, Bishop Bridge is closed at some point in the future, which long-term it will be, and then there's a flood on the Yellow Breeches that closes the other bridge, or restricts access. We could open this road and the folks that are back there would have access through Messiah College. And we would be spared the expense of a $7 million bridge for very few people who would use it. Same time, the residents there would have safe access, emergency access in the future, not feel the threat of being landlocked during a natural hazard.
How long has the Bishop Bridge been closed?
But it's back open now.
Oh, it's-
Yeah, so we reopened it after we made a repair to it.
Oh,
We're estimating that repair could last 10 years, but again, it's one of those things that could,
okay.
5 years from now, there could be problems.
How comparable is the route through Messiah in terms of the time it takes for these people to get to it as compared to the bridge?
Yeah, it depends where they're going. To get out, actually, it'd probably be faster than the other way they could go. But I think the idea would be that it would only be open during those emergency situations, or in terms of emergency response. And it would, I met with the Upper Allen Township Fire Chief, indicated it would be a speed up of emergency response that they could use it for
Any idea on the estimated cost of the emergency access?
that. Probably between 200 to 300,000. That's probably about a tenth of the cost of a new bridge.
And would that cost then be shared with York County at all?
Yes, 50/50.
And this road, Kirk, would it be a county road?
It would be ownership wise, it would likely be a county owned facility but maintained by Messiah College. That would be part of our agreement that we draw.
Okay, that's good.
So it's a public-private partnership.
Right.
Yes.
This would be rather unique though, right? Because we don't own any roads.
Correct.
Right. And make sure it was true.
And so we met with Messiah College last week to go over the concept. They had appeared interested because it is an area of campus where they're looking at having access to some of their backfields, and it would be an improvement for them as well. And also, if there was a catastrophic event on Messiah College with the adjacent railroad, it would be an access for them too to be able to get their students out. So really, it's a win-win-win the whole way.
They don't have any plans for this land in terms of like putting it into a field hockey stadium?
Not that they expressed during our meeting. We showed them some draft designs we had, and they appeared to be okay with what we had.
Would this road be open to the public, this emergency access road?
During those periods of emergency access, yes.
That's it?
That's it,
All
yeah.
right, well, is it eligible for liquid fuels?
We're researching that now.
Okay.
There's some language in there that talks about roads on college campuses.
Okay.
And as we work with the liquid fuels staff at PennDOT, they're a little hung up on if it would be gated. So if it's gated, that causes issues.
Right.
We do have, and as part of our bridge program here at the county, we have $500,000 was put in there of general fund dollars several cycles ago that we could use for this. So that's an option for us if the $5 fee's in the same boat, Jim. We believe that some interpretations we have that it would be eligible. We're trying to work with PennDOT to make sure they look at it and say it's eligible as
Yeah.
well.
That's just going back to my township commissioner days, remembering
Yeah, it's a good
the
thought.
requirements with liquid fuels. Has to be, essentially open to the public pretty much, I think, to use liquid fuels.
The liquid fuel statute does talk about roads on college campuses. So it's absolutely a public road. It would just be used during emergency.
Okay, all right, well, check it out.
Okay, so, but what I wanted to look for the board is if it's something you're interested in, if so, giving me the green light to work with Keith to draw an agreement then that we could share with the board and then eventually share with Messiah College.
Well, it sounds based on the limited amount of usage that the bridge currently gets, that this is a reasonable alternative. In case there is,
Hundred
a
trips a
need,
day.
a need for an alternative access. That's what we're talking about.
Has this been bounced off the residents in that area?
We shared it as part of our public meeting, as long-term, this is an option that we could look at. Wasn't something we had scoped out in detail. If it's something we look at, the board decides to investigate in more detail, I think we should do a public meeting with the people out there to go over it. Because what we want them to understand is then this is the fix. That long-term, if something happens to the bridge, we're not coming in and building a $3 million bridge, this is their safety net.
Gary, any comment?
No, it sounds like a good proposal.
Okay, we got a good connection.
Is it? Really?
Yeah, you sound like you're right next to us.
Oh, okay, good. We have some high winds here, so
We noticed.
Yeah, we kind of figured that.
We're still getting some snow flurries here, Gary.
Yeah, it was like 15 degrees this morning.
Yeah, no snow here.
Oh, God, it's on TV. Okay. Anything else, Kirk, anybody on this?
So I
Any other business to be brought in front of the finance meeting? Okay. Is there a motion? Gary, anything before we sign off?
No, I'm good.
All
I'm
right.
good.
Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
We're done. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks.